It is Chol HaMoed Sukkot. We are here at the Surfside Kolel Boker, and yesterday I was looking up a Bechorot on Daf 8, Daf Het, Amud Aleph. I was looking into Mermaids, not the cartoon, but Benot Hayam. I wanted to see what were Mamre Hazal on Mermaids. Why? Why would I be doing this now? Well, we're talking. We say on every day of the holiday, if you have bread, lishe basuka, you say Ha'chaman huizekin lishe besukat oro shel Leviatan. And there's a lot to talk about the Leviatan. What is this creature? Where does it live? Male, female? What's going on with that? Is it kosher? We're going to use it for the wool, so we're going to eat it. Well, I was looking into mermaids. So I found a couple of things in Bechorot. Let's take a look. I found this to be interesting. You could look at this article at talmudology.com. He discusses it. So let's take a look. He's going to discuss also some modern times, some sightings of these mermaids. So let's look at the Gemara first. Hadolfonim, okay. Piryan v'dibyan kibnei adam. Okay. They produce and have children like human beings. My dolphonim, what are dolphonim? Amar Rav Yehuda bnei Yama. They're called the sons of the sea. Okay, so maybe what the dolphins that we call today.
Whose lashon was this?
This is the Gemara Bechorot, Daf Het, Amud Aleph. This is
so funny. The word dolphin has been around. It's taken from
the Gemara.
Yeah.
So it's a Gemara Meforash. I didn't even go into the Mefarshim yet. So it's interesting that he calls dolphins what would look like what would be half human, or the sons of the sea. Bnei Yamaz, the sons of the sea. Interesting. I was recently studying something unbelievable about dolphins that it mentions here. Dolphonim piryan v'dibyan kibnei adam. I didn't understand the Gemara's reference, and I didn't look up all the mefarshim on this. I did a surface, review on it. But it's well known today that dolphins help women that are pregnant give birth to a very easy baby, and that those women that give birth with dolphins in that atmosphere, in the type of with water where the dolphins are swimming, their children grow up to be extremely intelligent and have superpowers. Now, you think I'm joking what I'm saying? Don't take my word for it. There's a whole movement of women pregnant that go through this type of giving birth with dolphins, and it's well known that they tell people that if women are pregnant, don't swim with the dolphins in and of itself if you're not going through this process, because the dolphins know how to identify pregnant women. They can sense it. So dolphins are extremely unique creatures, and I always wondered when I studied that article in regards to how women can give birth and produce children that get almost something special from those creatures, an energy or something that's given off. We don't understand how the Borei Olam created everything, but it's well known, and women are doing it. But when you look at the Gemara, it mentions the dolphins with Piryan v'dibyan kibnei adam. It tied those two together. So we don't understand exactly what it's saying, but we do know that it is telling us today through science and through research that when women give birth, it does have a very positive effect. It gives some form of powers or superpowers or interesting things to the children. They did this test, from what I read, with the same mother, she gave birth to regular children, then she did it with the dolphins, and it's significant, the difference that they see. And the same parents, same all that stuff. Okay, let's look at Rashi. What does Rashi have to say about the sons of the sea, the Bnei Yama? Dagim yesh bayam, there are fish in the sea. Shechetzian surat adam, they are half human. Vechetzian surat dag, and half fish. Ubela'az sharaina, or saraina. Interesting. So there are types of fish that are half fish, half man. I'm assuming, David, without having to think about it, that the half of the man is above from his waist up and the fish was below, not that it was human on the bottom and fish on the top. Just my understanding, which I'm sure. Okay, he has a little bit of a part here from the Sifra in Shemini Gimel Zayin Haya. He says here, Zo Chayat Hayam Hanefesh Lehavit Sarnit Yachol Tihye Metame Be'ohel Kedivre Rabbi Hanina Talmud Lomar Zot Okay, let's read what he has to say here in English. He says here, today, in the French word sirene means a mermaid. So even when Rashi mentioned the word sarina or serene, it means mermaid, just as it did in the time of Rashi.
Siren, we have that word in English also.
What, siren? But siren is...
Same thing. Sirens are those creatures in mythological times. Sirens were like mermaids that would attract the seamen into the ocean with their beautiful voice.
Oh, that's what it was. They called them sirens? I didn't know.
Also in Spanish, sirena.
So he gets it. And Sirenia is a scientific name for an order of aquatic herbivorous mammals such as the manatee, which have a sort of human form, if you don't look too closely, I'll bet. But Rashi lived about 500 years after the redaction of the Talmud, and so his explanation might not be exactly what Rabbi Yehuda had in mind. However, the Sifra, the halachic midrash, the legal exegesis on Leviticus, also mentions a sea creature called the Sirene, and the Sifra was composed sometime before 350 CE, about 700 years before Rashi lived. The Sifra notes that when the Torah lists the aquatic animals that cannot be eaten, it includes the Seranit. You have a Chumash right there. Can you bring that Chumash? It's in Vayikra 11:10. Let's take a look at that. That's very interesting. I didn't pay attention to that. In Vayikra 11:10, it includes the Seranit. Do you remember that, David? I mean... Yeah, no. He just says Vayikra 11:10. What do you got there? Let's take a look. You want to pass it? Let's see what we got there. Let's read it. Let's take a look. Vayikra 11:10. 11:10. Okay. Bechol asher en lo senapir vekaskeset bamayim or bayamim uvanechalim mikol sheretz hamayim umikol nefesh hachaya asher bamayim sheketz hem nachem. So where do we see that seranit here? Let's take a look at Rashi. Did you see anything in Rashi here?
I didn't see it.
Rashi sheretz bechol makom mashmeot davar namuch sherochesh venad al haaretz. No, I don't see it here at all. So I don't know what he's referring to as brought down as a seranit. Maybe he's talking because this pasuk says doesn't have snapir and kaskeset, so it's not kosher because they seemingly wouldn't have scales. Is that what he's saying? So if you saw a mermaid, they're not kosher. Is that what he's trying to say?
No, maybe mermaids do have something.
No, they have scales. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't understand that. Okay, in Greek literature, the sirens were dangerous sea creatures, were sinuous voices, like he was talking, would lure sailors to their deaths. So they were called sirens. Those stories appear in in the epic poem The Odyssey, composed around 800 BCE, which is to say around 500 years before the composition of the Sifra. The point is, the legend of the mermaid has been around, was around a long time, long before Rashi described them in his commentary, and it continued for many centuries afterwards. So he mentions here Christopher Columbus saw mermaids. When I saw this Christopher Columbus here, I actually pulled up his diaries and I looked to check the bet hey that he would have on his diaries, and it is well known about it, but I actually looked it up and I did see it.
He said recently, a few years ago, I remember when I was in high school, even they claimed to have found this tefillin that there was, or that he had even had tefillin that he brought along with him when he came to search.
It's quite possible that it said that when we studied him, it said that he had converted, his family converted in 1391 to Christianity, but they were for 100 years they kept it quiet. So it says here Christopher Columbus saw mermaids. Christopher Columbus, the one who it says here discovered quote unquote America, saw mermaids. 3 of them. In an entry in his diary dated January 9th, 1493, he wrote he had sighted 3 mermaids which rose well out of the sea, but they are not so beautiful as they are painted, though to some extent they have the form of a human face. These were most likely dugong, which has a fusiform body with no dorsal fin or hind limbs, and flippers in place of arms. Interesting. That's very interesting. Were they more modern sights of mermaids? There was. On June 8th, 1881, in York, Pennsylvania, in the York Daily, There's an article of an individual in the reports of them in the Susquehanna River in York, Pennsylvania. There were 5 sightings. They were all made by the same fisherman. All right, Mr. Henry Lukes. I guess he was looking for some popularity. Same guy, no one but him saw it, and they made it to the paper. I'm not going to read it. It's not relevant. But it's just coming in. Now, I want to bring a last thing on the writings of the Heda, and then on P.T. Barnum's museum, something interesting. So the Heda, Rabbeinu Chaim Yosef David Azulai, who lived 1724 to 1806, was a rabbi, Kabbalist, prolific scholar, and a major fundraiser for the Jewish settlement in Yerushalayim. By the way, he died in 1800. So if he was collecting money for Jews in Israel, what does that mean? It means they were Jews in Israel. Just want to put that on the record. Okay. In his encyclopedic Midbar Kedemot, he described the same siren we read in Rashi on today's page of the Talmud, but with some additional flourishes. So let's take a look what he says. He's in Hebrew. It's great. Dag yesh bayam shekorin sirinya, siren. Bechetzio ulmala kidmut isha betula, a virgin woman. Umechetzio lemata katbanit dag, fish below and human being above. Umakom mishkena batzelaim, she lives by the stones. Umekomot mesukanim bayam, very dangerous waters. Umede avur ezesfina tatchil leshored, when a ship goes near her, she starts to sing l'zamer bekol naim, and to sing in a beautiful voice, harbe ad ki tapil havle shena al kol anshe ha'oniya, until she makes them fall asleep. Rachakach nechneset letocha vehoreget veochelet yoshvea, then she puts them to sleep. She gets onto the boat, eats the sailors and everyone on there. That's brought down by the Heda. That's not Aesop's fables. You want to sell that story to your kids at night. It's brought down from the Heda. You don't want to, you don't have to. Okay, let's read. There was one more part. Well, actually 2 parts here. We'll talk about the Fiji mermaid. Among many weird creatures that P.T. Barnum displayed in his famous museum in 1842, one of the well-known was the Fiji mermaid, which was in fact the body of a young monkey sewn onto the trunk of a fish. It was later discovered that it was a fake. It was apparently purchased from some Japanese sailors for $6,000 and later brought to America, but it quickly dropped out of sight. There were rumors that it had been lost in one of the 3 fires that gutted Barnum's collections over the years, but a creature in Harvard's Peabody Museum may actually be one from P.T. Barnum's collections. Okay, the last one is a part that came from haaretz.com, December 8th, 2009. The question was, is a mermaid living under the sea in northern Israel? Some residents of Kiryat Yam are convinced the city is home to a mermaid, and the town's local council is offering $1 million to anyone who can prove the aquatic damsel exists. Over the recent months, dozens of people in the Haifa suburb have reported seeing a creature that resembles a young girl leaping out of the water and doing aerial tricks across the waves before disappearing at her home under the sea. The story has caused quite a splash in Kiryat Yam, with dozens of onlookers flocking to the town's beach at sunset, cameras in tow to catch a glimpse of the mermaid and hopefully the $1 million photo. There is no photo that we have. At least I haven't seen anything that's at least marketed or advertised, but that is the discussion on another famous creature that Hashem created into the Yam, into the sea. It's brought down in the Gemara, it's brought down in Rashi, it's brought down in the Sifra, and it's brought down in the Heda. So we can take this to the bank that it probably does exist. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, amen v'amen.